All right, so we are here, and this is the Regen Show with myself, Brian, and I'm so honored because we're having our part 2 of songwriting and networking, and we are at Music-ish in the United States of El Dorado Park. I don't know which part is it Clip something? Clip Town, Clip Spring?
It's at the border.
At the bottom of the clip.
Border.
Of the clip. But this is where we are, and my first guest tonight right here is one of our young men in our communities, also from the Northern Cape originally. He's going to tell his story now, and I've been following him ever since I met him on stage. I've been following him for the past few years, and the last time I saw him, he didn't look like a grown-up. But yeah, he's a songwriter, composer, performer. He's been singing all over. Let me not go into that. Crosson, Mr. JD, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you.
Lekker, man. Just tell people who you actually are before I mess it up.
Yeah, JD Crosson. I love asking people to guess what does JD stand for, and it's very weird answers that I get, but I'm not gonna do
I don't
that.
want to ask.
No. Yeah. Other one said Denver.
Oh.
Yeah, D's for Denver, but yeah.
Sure.
I forgive you. But I'm Jose Donne Crosson.
Donne. Oh, nice.
Born in Kimberley, and yeah, I stayed there for up until 4 or 5 years old, and then I came to Joburg, and I've been here ever since. Yeah.
How about you? Actually, from here? Because I thought you moved.
I would like to say I'm from Kimberley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's just saying that to people from Kimberley watching.
Yeah. It's a small town, so it's
yeah.
always something nice to hear stories of people coming out from a small town.
True. Yeah, I feel the same way about Kroonstad. Yeah.
Oh, got you.
Even though I left when I was already about my 30s, 32s, and so on. Yeah. But yeah, you came here, and then when can you say what was the age when somebody made you aware of your gift?
At a very young age, I grew up in a family household where church was that was the lifestyle.
Oh.
And I still thank God for my parents forcing me, to go to church, because that's where I developed my passion for music. And I think every child is drawn to the drums for some reason. It's I have never heard of someone say, I also want to play guitar.
It starts with drums.
Or keys, yeah. Or sing. It starts with drums. It's just something about it. So, yeah, just down the road, Mount Carmel Ministries. I remember it quite well. Back then there was a huge choir. And Divine, who you will be interviewing as well, was part of it. And just being that curious child that had an interest in that noise, what was happening there. Remember that time being maybe 5, 6, 7. I didn't understand music, but it just looked cool. It just looked nice, and so since there, I've developed a passion. My mother used to allow me to play drums on the pots and buckets at home. So that's how it started. And I remember my first CD was a Michael Jackson CD. I think it's Invincible or something. That my parents bought for me. And now if you listen to Michael Jackson, it's quite musical and artistic. So from there, that's where I really developed an ear for music. Yeah.
Sure, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So then with your voice as well, besides a drum, which is an instrument, was it in the same time that you started playing drums? Or did somebody say, you can sing?
Not at all.
Sing,
it's quite an interesting story. So I started with songwriting, actually, from the age of 12. I used to write poems, and I realized, okay, cool, so this is how songs are actually birthed. By writing your thoughts and feelings and putting pen to paper. We didn't have phones to write the lyrics, so I had a lot of pen and paper. And then later on, I think by the age of 15, 16, I wrote a song for the worship team at that time, and the worship leader didn't sing my song nicely. Now bear in mind, I couldn't sing. But it just didn't sound right, so...
You couldn't sing?
I couldn't sing at that age. I only started singing at the age of 16.
Oh.
Late 16, yeah. And it's by force, because I wasn't happy with how the worship leader interpreted my song that I wrote, Sure. So I said to her, I'm going to sing the song on Sunday.
Oh.
And she was like, but but you can't sing. I said, I know I can't sing, but I'm going to sing it on Sunday.
Wow.
And the rest is history. I was actually surprised that I could sing.
Yeah.
And I remember my mother.
I'm also surprised that you only okay.
Yeah, it's quite late late in
Yes.
life that I
Wow.
actually like unlocked this gift and talent that God has blessed me with. But I remember my mother like giving me compliments, and I didn't take it seriously because I thought it's one of those wooden mic moments where yeah, my boy, you're doing great, you know.
And
Yeah.
Mom says it.
Yeah, you can't really you have to take it with a pinch of salt. But so from there, and then the pastor liked what he heard and saw, and from there I became co-worship leader with the lady.
Wow.
And we did things together. We led worship together. So
From
that's
age
how
15,
it started.
16.
Yeah, I was
That's
16 years
amazing,
old.
man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And that's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we're having this episode. It's about songwriting mostly. And I really had to get somebody like yourself because I've seen your work. I've worked with you at some point. And I love your style of writing. But most of all, the thing that I want us to talk about is you've done so much for lack of a better word or term in music, R&B gospel. I don't know what is it called now in 2024, but that's how I know it.
I think it's called urban music now.
Urban music,
yeah.
now, something like
Yeah.
that. What made you fall in love with that style specifically?
I think in general, I grew up loving R&B, bit of pop, and like secular songs in that sense. And Neo was my inspiration to write songs because his first album, in my own words, it's him on the cover, front page, and there's like a notebook with something written in the back, and so that really stuck with me. So he really inspired me to write, but I wanted to be like the Neo of gospel. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it sounded
like that.
It sounded cool in my head. But I wanted to be the Neo of gospel in the sense of, I think locally, I'm a fan of local gospel music, but it felt like it's being recycled a lot. It felt like creativity was lacking. Stories weren't being really told through our local gospel music. And I'm a type of guy where I don't mind creating a new path or going against the grain, you know.
Powerful.
And I remember at that stage, I think the only artist that was really doing like urban gospel in that sense that I know of was Neville D, Pastor Patrick Duncan, maybe even Verona Pillay. But then they started to cross more into contemporary worship. And the biggest thing for me was like people that's my age group. What I know that they're listening to you, Chris Browns. I know they're listening to Usher and these guys, and they can only listen to gospel music really on a Sunday, or if they're on their way to school, you know. But what is in our industry that like accommodates them, that includes them, that actually like attracts them to say, okay, cool. Gospel in this sense is also still gospel. You know, it's God is still behind it. It's not necessarily about the genre, but you can still have fun. And unfortunately at that time I didn't find a lot of local artists doing that, and I saw that as an opportunity to just cater for that target market. And that's how I started. It wasn't easy because now I get called up to events, and there's gunshots in my songs, and there's this and that. It's just a different sound, man, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. There's a song that I wrote. It's called "Thank Me Later," and the reason why I wrote that song is because I remember this person not liking my music, right? And a few years down the line, his son actually was addicted to drugs, and he actually got delivered from drugs because he listened to one of my songs. That does not sound like your Sunday morning, you know. So I wrote the song "Thank Me Later," and she did. She thanked me later, saying,
"That's amazing.
Yeah, sorry, I judged you, I misjudged you," and so that is for me. That is success for me.
Powerful. Yeah,
that is success for me.
made you hold on without, the song, besides the song Thank Me Later and the experience that the lady had with the child? What made you go on? Because I think you only crossed over recently, not crossing over, but the style is a bit different now.
Yeah, the style is slightly different. Where I'm gonna do more like the contemporary worship. Yeah. But for me, honestly, I enjoyed it, and I think that's the thing we miss as musicians or artists or songwriters, is that we start out because we simply enjoy it. And I never like being put in a box because I feel limited. I always feel there's more to me than what you see in here. And I enjoy that music. It had to minister to me first. And from there, I would put it out. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that's what kept me going. Obviously, what people experience with these songs as well. But for me, it felt like I'm really like creating a new path.
Okay.
That's for other people.
Okay.
And to hear the testimonies now, Brian, like, I'm glad I said yes. I'm glad I said no to some things as well. I'm glad I persisted with it. Yes, it's more accepted now at our radio stations, television, our churches. Years ago, it wasn't. It was like, but that sounds like the world, And I think we were still young as a body to understand that it's okay. It's really okay, because to us, gospel, it has to sound like this, And it was tough, but I'm glad I persisted for the sake of my happiness, and for the sake of people.
And the beautiful thing about it is you kept it like that because it's part of your ministry.
Yeah.
When you are asked to come and perform, it's more than just performing. I've heard you speak before you even perform.
Yeah.
You are a sound teacher of the word. I asked you to even minister to some of young people where I was invited, and it was just amazing. Can you say that your view of your type of music changed a bit when you traveled with Dr. Tumi?
100%. It was such a good time being part of the team for like 5 years or so. But from the music perspective, it did help me in the sense of vocally, and because you always have to learn, you have to grow in vocal dynamics and sharpen your skill. Have like a spirit of excellence as well, So I really learned a lot. I learned from behind the music as to like what happens, setting up events, the pressures that comes with it, working with people. So it's been a tremendous experience for me. And as from day one being part of the team, I said to myself, I'm just going to be a sponge that absorbs, that just takes in everything. And I know that it's going to start to like flow out of me, as time goes on. And I'm seeing that slowly but surely. And it definitely like reshaped.
Sure.
The biggest thing for me that I learned from Dr. Tumi was he is a man that he's simple, but he's also complex. And I remember he said to us like, create a song so it's like easy for people to sing, but then when they end up singing it, they realize, it's actually a bit, a bit tricky. So that is a beautiful skill, or is a beautiful skill. And the second one is the simplicity in repetitiveness, like where you can just sing one line over and over. I remember we did an event at Sun City, and we just sang "I'm Loved by God" for like 30 minutes, and I kid you not, by the 10th minute of that song, I was like bored. I was like tired. I was like, no, man. Okay, I get it. I'm loved by God. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay. And people were still on the floor.
Then after that, like the 20th minute, say 15 minutes after that, then people started to like really realize, I am loved by God.
Wow.
And he kept on just hitting the nail there. And we were stuck in that song for like 40 minutes. And that's where I learned like the power of simplicity.
Okay.
And not to be moved, by people's reaction. Because we come from an area where we think because someone said hallelujah or clap that they listened to you, But even the ones that are sitting still, that look like they're not interested in you, we don't know what's happening in their hearts. We don't know what's happening in them. And we can never allow people's reaction to determine how we go about our music.
That's so true, man. And something that I've learned over the years as well, especially recently, where we always thought that a 40-minute song is a spontaneous worship song. But then what I've learned is it's more than that. It's more about what comes spontaneously out of you. And relationship wise, and you've been in this, and in the 10th minute of that song you already felt like that. What can you tell to somebody to look out for whenever they feel like that? Doesn't matter where they are, what level they are in the music.
Yeah, that's such a very good question. I think for starters, to not think about yourself.
Okay.
I think when we do hit that stage mentally, it's because we're very self-conscious. Now my own preference starts to come out. If I was the leader, I would have done this and that. All of that stuff starts to come out, and you just need to let that go, put that aside, and understand that the moment is way bigger than you.
Yeah.
Maybe you actually need to listen to the words that you're singing, you know. And I remember I think I was like 16, 17, and in this church where I was at, the spontaneous worship was quite big at that time. So I'm a creative, so I love creating spontaneous moments, you know. And the worship leader, man, again, for like 30 minutes, he kept on singing, in the silence, I am speaking. As if God is now saying that, in the silence, I'm speaking. And I remember sitting behind the drums, and I had a mic there, and I was like, okay, when are you going to be silent so that I can also, you know, sing my spontaneous song? This is my moment.
Okay.
And Brian, it only hit me like 30 minutes later. In the silence, I am speaking. So I was like, so all along, I actually need to be the one that's silent.
Come on.
Because if I want to be the one talking and singing, I thought a conversation is a two-way thing. You know, it's both speaking and listening. But that moment there wasn't a need for me to speak, you know. But I felt very confused because now, then why did you give me, you know, the spontaneous song that I want to sing? And this is what I learned in songwriting, that not all songs are meant to be released.
Come on.
Not all songs are meant to be produced and put out there.
Come on.
What if that set of 10 songs that you're writing that you think are hits, right? It's just for you in that season. It's God's song, you know, to you. And that's a big thing that I had to learn, because a lot of the songs that were my favorite wasn't people's favorites, you know. And when I look back, I was like, yeah, I think that was just meant for me in that season.
Don't disqualify yourself. You with more than what you think. Yeah. This right here is only temporary. Just keep on, cause it'll be better. If you need to rest, then just take a breath. There's strength in knowing that you want me.
Now, when you put a song together, like, where do you start?
I think the first thing that I start with is like, what sort of topic or feeling can I attach to a topic? I won't lie, I think my first few songs was very preachy, because I love the word, I love teaching, and it is very like preachy, man. And you know, people would come to me and they're like, I like your music, but it's like I'm in a Bible study classroom. You know,
and for the type of music it is, it should be so deep.
It shouldn't be so deep. But at that time, I was like studying. I was doing Bible studies as well. So I get excited for revelation, and I put that revelation through music. You know, but so I've just changed that to make it more real, relatable, and simple. You know, as well. There's a verse that says in Psalm 40 verse 3, God says, "I have put my new song in your mouth," and that has been my scripture all these years. I have put my new song in your mouth. So he gives me the ability to hear what he wants to communicate, you know, through me. And so that's how I create, you know, that's how I create. And I remember thinking that, because I think we all somehow heavily influenced by American music. So from a songwriting technical perspective, I used to think that a great song is a song that has great rhymes or rhyming words. You know?
Sure.
There's a thing called AABB.
Yes.
ABBBBA.
I still struggle with it. I can't move away from
Man, nowadays songs are like D,
Yeah.
B,
Yeah.
C,
I
Z, and you're like, okay, the rhyming word is coming, it's coming, okay, but when is it coming? And it was a big adjustment for me, because I thought that songwriting is all about storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's also about rhyming words. But to go back to the beginning of this question, I always started by writing. Well, I think of a concept, and I always try to like picture myself in someone else's shoes or situation.
And does it sometimes matter what type of genre you're going into, like a Afrobeat type or
it does play a big part,
depending on what you write about?
Yeah, it does play a big part. I'll give you 2 examples. The latest song I have, For My Good, was a very slow song.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, it sounds too depressing.
Oh.
So if you just read the words, it says like, it speaks about my mind is going crazy and I need you. I can't understand everything. So I was like, okay, maybe we need to change the vibe, you know? And that's what I did. It's more popish. The other one is Love Me Madly.
Yes.
Man, I was like at a very low place in my life.
Oh.
And Lovely Madly was like, you love me madly. And I just sang it very slow. Dum, dum, dum. You love me madly.
Now that you sing it, because I've heard it before.
And it's so
weird.
different to how it sounds like now, you know?
You love me madly. Can't get enough of your love. It takes me higher. Can't get enough of your love, God. It takes me higher. Can't do without your love.
So I think that's also very key and important
Okay.
but as you grow and develop, you develop in your sound, you grow in a sense of understanding, okay, cool, the whole point is for people to experience something. So what would it help if I stuck to a very slow version of that? You know, I'm only going to satisfy myself, you know, but how about satisfy myself and the people at large by doing something that also caters for them? So it's actually very important to look at that.
That's so important.
Yeah.
You love me, my love.